What's up, Average Joes? Today I want to talk about the top 10 finalists from the self-published fantasy blog off. So how's it going? Happy reading and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about the self-published fantasy blog off finalists. So this is something I haven't known too much about. I know I've seen these contests and these finalists out there in the past because they get shared around on Twitter. And Rob J. Hayes, I'm a big fan of his. He shares around a lot of self-published books, and I'm definitely a fan of self-published books. But now I actually wanted to, since this is my first one while on BookTube this year, while it's actively happening, I wanted to talk about the 10 books that made it as a finalist because I know from the past years there have been some really good books on there, and ones that I've read that I didn't know they were finalists, but I have since read and I've really, really enjoyed them. And this is also just great recognition and ways to get into some newer rising self-published authors and authors in general. So first, thanks for coming to my videos. Please like, subscribe, do all those normal things before we get into it. So now getting into the self-published fantasy blog off, a couple things to note is that I have not read any of these books. I've actually not even I've only heard of one of these books that were even on here. How this list is compiled, I actually don't know how the list is compiled, but there's a contest that Mark Lawrence holds. He is a pretty known author. He wrote the Broken Empire series, which I absolutely love, Prince of Thorns. He's the one that hosts this, and every year they come up with a list of 300, I guess, of books that are nominated. I don't know who nominates them, but self-published books that are nominated. And there are certain criteria, like it must be the first in a series. They must not have been a bit like one or been a finalist or something like that before, some of these things. And then they get a bunch of readers, outside people, to read, rank, nominate, and push these books forward. So I'm not exactly up on the details of how they become finalists or the book become finalists, but either way, it starts in like May. The list is announced, and then now a couple weeks ago, I guess in October, the finalists, the final 10, were revealed and announced. So it is an annual award. It's only been going on about 6 years. And some of the past winners, which are actually been really good books. So in 2020, last year, The Lost War. Other finalists from last year was Voice of War, which by Zach Argyle, which I reviewed the first book in his series. I read the second one, really, really, really good. Can't wait for the third one to come out. Blackstone Heart was also a finalist last year. They're the newest book in the series. Book 2 came out recently and has gotten a ton of praise. In 2019, Sword of Kaigen was the winner. That made its rounds around BookTube and everywhere. Super popular, very good book. Also finalist from 2019 was Never Die. Absolutely love that. Rob J. Hayes book. First book in the Immortal Techniques, which I will be talking about more coming up soon. And Kalanon's Rising. This has actually been on my Kindle Unlimited list for a long time. 2018, the winner was Orconomics. Other finalists there was Aching God, which has also, that series has been making its rounds and has been really popular because I believe the final book just came out. And We Ride the Storm. This has also been on my list for a good bit. 2017, Where Loyalties Lie, and 2016, Gray Bastards. I believe there's one for 2015. That was the first year. I don't know why I didn't put that one down, but these are all very good books, and it's really awesome to keep up with these, not only because you can find some really awesome books, but self-published, it's a great support for them, and even some of the ones that didn't make it as finalists. I'm sure it's really hard to whittle these lists down, but today we're just going to talk about the top final 10. Now, like I said before, I have not read any of these. So in my research doing this, all I did was look up the synopsis. I did some Googling, and a part of my Googleizing, I wrote down some keywords and stuff that I thought that these books were about. And from there, what the books were about, I found their Goodreads rating right now. The majority of them have at least 100 ratings, but there's a couple that are around 20 or 30, only like 2 or 3 are around 20, 30. The rest are 100 plus. So that's decent for now, especially if some of these aren't even released yet. So there's like ARCs and like Friends rating, stuff like that. So I have the Goodreads rating. I'm also going to be listing these in order of ones that I'm most excited about to read just from the synopsis. Now, this isn't to say anything bad about the ones that I'm first going to say, at the top of the list, the bottom of the list, whatever you want to call it. It's just, reading these synopsis, you don't get a full picture of what the book is about. And there's sometimes, I think even publishers write, or well, this is self-published, so they would be writing their own synopsis. But a lot of times with synopsis is that you either get something that's super vague or sounds a bit too epic and generic in grand scale. Um, so it's hard to get a good picture, good accurate picture of some of these. And I mean, obviously they're fantastic if they are the top 10 from the list of 300. So I'm just listing them in the order of when I initially went through this, the ones I'm looking most forward to reading and sound the most appealing to me to check out. That's all that it means. Everything else is just basically arbitrary. You can just take this, my list and the order of it as moot, or as Joey says, as a moot point, because it's like Cal's opinion, doesn't matter. So getting to the top 10. So another fun fact to about this top 10, which I was very surprised or not super surprised about, but great thing about self-published is that a lot of them are on Kindle Unlimited. And I am a big fan of Kindle Unlimited. If you are new around here, if you've been around here, then you will know that I talk about Kindle Unlimited. I have several videos specifically about Kindle Unlimited. And the thing about this is that every single one of these top 10 books are on Kindle Unlimited. And I did not know that until the very end, right when I was about to do this. I was like, let's see which ones are on Kindle Unlimited so I can say that. And literally all 10 of them are. So, hey, if any of these sound appealing to you, go start a Kindle Unlimited trial. You get 30 days for free. Right now, probably sometime in the next coming weeks and the holidays, they're going to have an extended trial. You know, last year they had 3 months for free or like $1 for 60 days. So that's a lot of reading you can get in. Sometimes they will have, I don't know if any of these are, they might be, but audiobooks are included with Kindle Unlimited. So yeah, you can check out any of these or any of the other ones that were on the 300 list. But anyway, actually, without further ado, number 10, well, the first one I'm going to talk about is The Iron Crown. This one, the setup for this one, again, I'm not going to read the synopsis, just what I've drawn, is that somebody wakes up with their memories completely been lost, and they wake in front of a dragon spirit. So assuming that a dragon spirit might have woken them up, but they have no memory of what's going on. There's an ancient enemy that is rising, and the main protagonist is trying to find home, but he ends up getting stuck in a war. So there's this war going on. Apparently, this land had some peace, but now war is starting to get to be brought up. This guy wakes up, and he doesn't know anything of his memory, but he's somehow caught up into this war, and you do not know what's going on, why he lost his memory, how he's caught up in this war. He doesn't know. He's just trying to find out who he is and get back home or whatever. I think there's another second protagonist as well. I'm not sure how they combine. I think the other protagonist is who he needs to go see to get his memories back, and they're somebody that can do magic or has magic part of them, but magic was kind of being phased out. I think that might be happening in this one. Not really sure. Like I said, some of these synopses can be very vague and broad. It had a 4.31 on Goodreads. I think this is one of the ones that only had like 20 ratings or something like that. I can't really remember, but that is The Iron Crown. Number 9, Burn Red Skies. I'm pretty sure that's skies. And this one, there has been a cataclysmic event that has disrupted the world. I think it defined it as like, the winds have stopped, the sun has stopped shining or something like that. An ancient beast has awakened, and in this world there's elemental magic. One of the main protagonists is listed as having this elemental magic and trying to learn about this elemental magic that they have, and they need to slay this dragon that has awoken. There is this summoner army that I guess summoned the dragon, and this summoner army has been sweeping across the land, taking out villages, and the main protagonist is trying to get past this summoner army that's taking them down, and I guess maybe slay the dragon. Maybe that's the head of their power is what's going on. So dealing with elemental magic in this one, it's had a 4.43 on Goodreads. So the reason why this is probably lower on my list is because it sounds a little typical fantasy, like not as unique of a twist for me to like jump at, elemental magic, dragons, ancient evil, stirring. And I think it might side along the YA side too, just reading the synopsis from what I remember. But again, it's a finalist. It still sounds pretty epic, it's especially if they have this something that disrupts the world, if it, halts weather or something like that. And if things actually do turn dark and the sky is all blacked out or something, then that could make it a little bit darker and a bit more interesting. Number 8, Hall of Bones. This is a story that has 7 clans, And throughout history, I'm guessing in the past there was this big evil, and then this big evil entity, and then it was gone. And now they have these 7 clans, and all this area, the 7 clans are always warring against each other. That typical sort of clan setup. And there's these 2 rival clans, and the main protagonists, or the main people's rival clans. Apparently, there is a dark power starting to rise within that rival clan. That's kind of all I brought from it. The main protagonist is the brother of the heir. So the brother of the heir, these are all being brought up to be warriors. So the brother of the heir, so the younger brother, is his entire life he's been trained to support his brother because he's the younger brother. He is not going to be the heir, so he's meant to protect and be a warrior for his brother. But I'm just going to go out on a limb and say his brother dies and he becomes the heir. Kind of just a slight prediction there. But I think with this 7 clans thing, with this dark power rising, this might be a situation where everyone is trying to get united. These clans have to fight together and become united to defeat this power. So if this dark power is consuming this 7th clan, then the other 6 clans might have to band together and unite, become a united force. This one had a 4.57 on Goodreads. Number 7, Mortal Blade. This one I think could really be good. It was just hard to grasp exactly what would be going on and what's happening, because in the very first line, it was saying that they're ruled by gods and there are mortal champions and a disobedient dragon. Those 3 things made me really intrigued about it, but then there was not much about it in the rest of the synopsis. So a part of this is that there is the defenders of the city, I guess the police, or the strength of the city, are called blades, and they defend the city. And there's 2 protagonists. One of them just becomes a leader of a new brigade of blades, and then there's a misfit girl who held on her last chance and has been keeping kicked from brigade to brigade of blades. And she's on her last strike, and when she gets that strike, she might get kicked out of the city to be part of the rats, which don't prowl inside the city. They have to prowl on the outside of the gates. So they don't defend the city from the inside. They are kicked out of the city essentially, but they're still blades, but they're part of the rats that are outside of the city. Also, this misfit girl finds a dragon below the city, and I guess this is the disobedient dragon that has been locked away and hidden under the city and is wanting to get out or something like that. So I'm not sure how the mortal champions and the gods play into it. That was just in the very first line, but the rest of it, there's this misfit girl. She's probably going to get mentored by the other guy who just became a leader. Not sure if there's going to be a romance there, something like that. But it was a bit vague. That's why I kind of have it where I have it. And that had a 4.26 on Goodreads. Number 6. This one I hope I have right. My breakdown of it. It got a 4.06 on Goodreads, so I think a little bit lower, but I think this also had the most ratings. So give and take. There's an undying king. A monarchy has been overthrown. So 300 years ago, they used to be ruled by a monarchy, and now that has been overthrown, and magic wielders are free. So this seems like, I don't want to say the opposite of what it normally is. Normally they want to take over. I don't know if this is like a evil entity is ruling, but magic wielders are now free, where I guess they might have been subjugated at first. And one of the protagonists is the head of a company. So I guess there's a roving company. They do something, and that person has now been framed for murder and is being hunted for the theft of an artifact. This is a magical artifact, and so they are on the hunt, on the lam. I'm guessing that part of this company, they would be some sort of respected individual, but now they are being framed. Seems there's a couple of specific people after her. There's an assassin after her, a beast after her, and one of her rivals are after her. So they specifically mentioned these in the synopsis. So there's a lot going on here. It seems like, I think that it also said that an undead king or ruler was stirring. So there's magic wielders. They are free now. Maybe this is causing some rift places, and now there's an artifact which could have something to do with this ascending being that is dead or undead. A lot of things going on. This could be good. This sounded also kind of dark in ways too. It just was hard to grasp what was going on. But I like that the idea of different people after this main protagonist and how that could play out in like fight scenes and and tricks and like drama and stuff, because that way the combat doesn't get quite repetitive. So how they must overcome, whether it's through wit, whether it's through power, whether it's through skill. Okay, number 5, into the top 5. This one, I'm not gonna lie, at first when I started reading it, I thought it was gonna be toward the bottom of my list just because it sounded a bit typical. So, but it actually has a lot to it that I think could, well, I'm really interested to see how it would be pulled off. So there are, what I extrapolated from the synopsis was, there are 2 protagonists. Order meets chaos. So there is a female protagonist that is order, regimented, that kind of, I guess, type A, and then there is the guy who's more chaos and destruction, and it's possible opposites attract, but there are these 2 opposite sides, order and chaos. And in this world, magic is now dying, and I think these people might have to team up to restore magic, and they have to find mages who can wield the forbidden power of death. Now, hinted into this synopsis is there was a mention of controlling breath and controlling heartbeats and stuff like that. So I think the magic in this could be very interesting because it could deal with like life magic, different aspects of someone, of a person. You know, if you have breath, blood, death, things like that. The magic could be pretty interesting. It wasn't really, I'm not exactly sure what it's about, but I just took it as some sort of body magic, which is pretty interesting to me. And on top of, so magic dying, they're trying to restore magic and find this forbidden power of death. But also there's being a rise of machines, a rise of science. So this happens a lot in fantasy. I've kind of noticed that there's always, there's plenty of stories where magic's dying and like technology and innovation is climbing. And sometimes, whether it's tipping scales or one inflicts the other, however that works. So that sort of balance happens a good bit, but it's interesting to see the differences of how people do it. So how this rise of science and machines can affect the mages, whether that makes them good or bad, could be pretty interesting to see how it all shakes out and how it all comes together. The next one, Forever King. This one is the only one that I actually knew about from this list and I own. This is by Ben Galley, and it is in the same universe as his other series, the I don't know how to pronounce this world and the series, the Amanska. I'm going to go with Amanska. This is a series that, so on Twitter, like 2 months ago or something, when this book came out, there was a sale on the newer series, but then all of the previous world, they were all $0. So I just literally bought all of them for like no money. And then some of the newer ones for a couple of dollars. And my wife has just started reading book 1 in the Amanska series because that comes first. Now, the reason why I have this at my 4 spot is because this is the follow-on series, and I'm going to want to read the first series first. And it's like a 4 or 5 book series. I don't think they're very long, but still, that's why I feel about this one. But either way, they sound really, really good. They all have really, really good ratings. The covers are really awesome too. But the Forever King. Now, magic is bad in this world, and it is a curse. It is a curse word, and it is banned in this world. It has been banned. Don't know why. Now there is an outlaw king who is doing all of these raids, possibly still magic wielder, but there's this outlaw king who's been doing raids and causing havoc in the land. Then with the possible main protagonist, there's an illegal spell book that washes up to shore, and they find it, and now they are being hunted by demons and mages, and I guess chaos ensues. That's just how it goes. So I'm guessing this person is somewhat of a mage, magic wielder. They open the spell book. They might do some little magic. They're discovered by the demons and the mages that probably working toward not dispelling magic and want this illegal, very rare, unknown about spell book because it could tip the scales of power. So there's probably going to be a lot of chasing, a lot of magical discovery, balance between magic and non-magic. This is set in a dark Nordic world. That's what it said. So definitely interested in this one, especially because I already own it. But I'm going to need to read the first series. And I'm also wondering what my wife thinks about the book 1 in the Amanska series. But this is Forever King, and it has a 4.48 on Goodreads. And I do think that the first series has really good reviews on Goodreads as well. Okay, getting into my top 3. And I realized these 3 kind of have something similar and related to them. So that kind of says something about me or maybe what I'm in the mood for. but each of these three could be interchangeable, honestly, for what I want to do or what I want to read next. So, number 3 is Legacy of Brightwash. This one, there is these officers called regulators. Our main protagonist is a regulator, and his whole life has been living by the law and upholding the law. But now he's having doubts, and he's wondering if the law is actually wrong, and he's starting to discover that the system is very corrupt. It is a murder mystery. He finds a dead girl washed up onto shore, and he's wondering why nobody cares about this dead girl washed up onto shore. So I'm sure he goes into finding out why this girl died. Other people probably don't care or don't want him to investigate it because something corrupt is going on, probably some higher politician, some sort of intermingling with that. So there's going to be a lot of secrets discovered. There's going to be crossing lines. He's probably going to be going against his superiors and discovering some really corrupt, bad people. So it's some of that urban, dark mystery setting that I really, really like, especially, this happens in a lot of thrillers and mysteries as well, but now this is a fantasy setting in a new world, I believe. So I'm not sure how the fantasy elements are going to be incorporated into that. It sounds really good because it seems like it will be a high paced, not giant world or world building. Maybe the city is very, very real, but it's going to be more, I think it's going to be more character and plot focused, like narrowly, which I think would make for a very fast read. Number 2, and this is another one that I'm probably going to mispronounce the name, but Norylska Groans. Norylska Groans. I have no idea. But the first thing I'll say is that I think is Russian inspired, because not only the name and the names in the synopsis, but in the cover, it looks like in the background you can see the city. It looks kind of Russian and Kremlin inspired. I'm not really sure, but that's just a guess. This one is written by Michael Fletcher, who wrote Blackstone Heart, which was a finalist before. I'm not sure how. I didn't think you could be nominated more than once. Maybe you can. Maybe it's only if you win. I don't know. But he wrote Blackstone Heart and some other series that have been going around a lot. Michael Fletcher. It seems he's just sticking with being self-published, and he's doing really good with it. So good for him. But this one, as I said, I think it is Russian inspired. I think there are 2 POVs. One is a cop and one is a criminal. So a cop that is getting into law enforcement, and a criminal that has been forced to get into the criminal underbelly. And I'm not sure if they work together or against each other, but it's definitely going to have a lot of crime and urban type dark setting involved. There are dark secrets and there is death. This one had a lot of vague description. I wasn't really sure what exactly is going on in this book, but the setting seems very new and fresh. And it also has that urban, dark, cop criminal setting and like death and mystery, which I think would be a good fast read. I'm not sure if it's a part of a series. This one has a 4.37 on Goodreads. But just the fact that it's Russian, I think it's Russian inspired or a different sort of setting, makes it very intriguing to me. And it's one that I'm definitely interested in. And the final one, my top one that I'm most excited about, is We Men of Ash and Shadow. So this is a gas lamp fantasy. I don't know if that's actually a thing, but it's a gas lamp type setting. So that sort of late 1800s, early 1900s setting, I really, really like, even in like murder mysteries. But this is a fantasy gas lamp setting. There is a mercenary. He's a mercenary, but I think he's a previous soldier turned mercenary who still has a good conscience. He's a soldier turned mercenary who I think has like a good conscience. He's not like this dark, decrepit type of mercenary. And I think he's going to mentor this assassin. So there's going to be 2 POVs or 2 main characters. And there's this assassin who was from the elite, the high elite rich, and I guess maybe either got thrown out or down on their luck, was going through an assassin training, something of that nature, wanted to become an assassin, but now is going to be mentored by this mercenary. Don't exactly know how that's going to line up or how that shifts out. But there is a murder mystery to this, and there's going to be secrets and a missing aristocrat. So there's 2 people, I think 2 people turned up murdered. And as they're investigating, I believe there's another aristocrat that is turned up missing. And it's another one of those secrets, dark mysteries. It is also labeled as grimdark. And there are elements of redemption and loyalty and things of that nature. So I think a decent amount going on here. Sometimes it's good to have a lot going on, like some of these stories. There's all the different magic and science and stuff, but then these last couple are a bit darker, mystery, narrowly focused into, like, I think will be good because instead of having this large scope, it's I kind of like having, if you turn your attention onto just the main characters in the plot, I think you could do something really, really good with that. So that is the top 10 SPFBO books, the finalists that are out. So, as I said before, all of these are on Kindle Unlimited, so check them all out. I definitely want to read some of these. I need to start to do these just because, I mean, even the past ones, they've been on my list for a while. And again, more Kindle Unlimited reading for me. It's always great to support self-published authors, and even like adding them onto your Kindle Unlimited counts as like a book bought. So it's always good to do that and support the self-published community. I'm sure there's going to be, as these come out more, there's going to be a lot more content of people that are actually reading these and going to review them. So eventually I'll get to that as well. This is all I got for now. So let me know which one sounds the most appealing to you. Maybe look them up yourself, read the synopsis, see how I did. Let me know if there's, I may have described something a little bit wrong. If you have read some of these, yeah, share any of these things in the comments and let's chat more there.